Take down and emotions feel like I never did before. Live shows and unspoken reels of the movie I ignored. Blue skies on a broken sea and I'm stuck up on the shore. I never thought you could see me, but you did. All I know is we're here, that they took us somewhere. So what they say we're called falling out of line. They don't know the two of us are colorblind, yeah. All I know is we're here, that they took us somewhere. So what they say we're called falling out of line. They don't know the two of us are colorblind. All I know is we're here, that they took us somewhere. So what they say we're called falling out of line. They don't know the two of us are colorblind, yeah. So easy. We could be the enemy and show them how it's done. Yeah, we could brand a new identity and tear apart the songs, making grayscale in the black and white scale, singing saints that the sinners believe and burn all that's in it. We'll take them out. We'll make them up for it and shout. Dream out the guns, I'll take the wheel. How we feel, we were made for this. Leave your mountains still and make it real, make it dangerous. Been colorblind for all my life, and they kept painting rainbows. I'm colorblind, it's black and white. It seems it will remain. And you've been colorblind for all your life. It's scared to even say so. We're colorblind, it's black and white. It seems it will remain so. So what they say we're called falling out of line. They don't know the two of us are colorblind, yeah. All I know is we're here, that they took us somewhere. So what they say we're called falling out of line. They don't know the two of us are colorblind. All I know is we're here, that they took us somewhere. So what they say we're called falling out of line. They don't know the two of us are colorblind, yeah.
Hello.
Oh wait.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, we're all live.
Hello.
Hey, I should probably
Welcome
pull up the
back.
stream, huh? Let's check it out.
We should just if Kilroy doesn't mind if I do a little bit of like housekeeping things.
Go
to
for
say
it.
that like at the here like we've changed the schedule a little bit. We're now doing like SBH once a month. So the first we split it up. So the first segment of the podcast will actually only be available on YouTube. Like and we did like a trivia with Kilroy. And we had a lot of fun, so you can watch that on YouTube. And the second half, the second hour of the podcast will be the live portion, which is what we're doing now.
Spoiler, I did terrible. I'm really bad at the trivia format, you know what I mean? Like, I don't necessarily not know the answer to the thing, but when it gives me multiple choice, I start doubting myself, and then I, like, switch my answer, and then, like, it's like, time's
Which
up,
is
5
funny,
seconds, and I'm like,
I feel like usually people prefer multiple choice, so that, like, guarantees and verifies like what they know.
Well,
is
not in
true.
that game. In that game, if you get one wrong, then you get a strike against you, right? And you get the darkness increases or whatever. In normal,
in the end
like
segment,
a standardized test, absolutely, yeah. Like fucking fill them all out and hope that you got one. You know,
I've done that before.
so
I took a course in human kinetics and gym, university level gym, and they but it was all like gym theory, and it was no good. I guessed literally every answer on the final. I had genuinely no idea what I was doing, but I was I was 19, and I didn't think it was important to study for university gym theory.
right.
Hey, Kilroy, welcome to the stream.
Hey, I'm back. I'm multitasking here. I'm in the chat and here.
So is part of it that is part of your issue with trivia? Like, if you were not under pressure, let's say,
Yes,
if you were not
better.
playing, would you do better then? Yeah. So if you were just watching, if you watch Jeopardy, if you turn on the TV and you have cable and you watch Jeopardy,
I'm actually pretty
you do all
decent
right
in
at that.
Jeopardy. Yeah, like when I'm watching it.
Hey, Infernus, how are you? It's good to see you again.
But I think one of the things is it happened several times where my gut went oh, it's that answer. But then once I saw the other ones, I'm like, oh, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's this one. And this one makes more sense because of this and blah, blah. So I pick that one. And then it's your original guess was right. And I'm like, fuck. It happens all the time with trivia.
You
I feel
gotta yodel your answers more. It's done.
I feel like being good at trivia is a separate skill from just knowing things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a certain game to it. And I'm terrible at the game.
Yeah, I think there's probably a comfortability with being able to because I have a friend who so he's really into politics, right? That's his thing. He was a political science major in college, but he is completely unable to express he feels unable to express a lot of his political opinions because he's used to taking time to write them out in an essay format.
Exactly.
And really thinking about his ideas, and
That's how I am too. I'm a very methodical thinker, and I love Dark Souls, for example, because that game really rewards taking your time, being patient, and methodically thinking things through. Whereas something maybe
XCOM too.
At XCOM, yeah, I actually love XCOM. I've never beaten it, but I really want to get around to it because what I played, I really enjoyed. But I was going to say, whereas something I'm not a big hack and slash guy, and I don't know why that is, but just for point of conversation, I feel one of the reasons that is because it's very on your feet, quick decision, or fighting games, right? I like fighting games, but I suck at them. I think that's mostly because I haven't ever devoted time to them because I don't really enjoy them that much for whatever reason. But I think that's because you have to be really fast and on your feet, you know what I mean, instant decisions, guesswork.
Yeah,
so I agree 100%.
Quick.
Yeah, I play Tekken a fair bit, and one of the things about Tekken is that there is a methodicalness in that you practice a lot before you actually start playing, but you most of it is being able to. You can be the most methodical thinker in the world in Tekken and be the worst player because you can't actually do it quickly. And
I think if I were to practice,
we could say,
yeah, a hack and slash Devil May Cry. And I feel if I practice, I'd be good at it. I just haven't devoted the time, but
yeah. Trev and I are both big DMC players, and I think we both say that a lot of the decisions we make are in the moment.
Exactly, yeah.
There is some oh, I know this boss, I remember his attacks, but part of it is just okay, I've got to really put this together right now.
But
yeah,
one of the things with me is that when I was a kid, we used to play Cena all the time. Me as a family.
On Xbox?
Not just on Xbox, but I do have the Xbox
with the special controller with the big button.
Yeah, we have.
Nice.
I used to play that. We only got that a few years ago for that one. But I used to play the actual CNET game, where you put the DVD in. And you
yes, I do remember those. I actually forgot that was what it was before Xbox.
Yeah, and I used to play Trivial Pursuit a lot too, but
yeah, I never played that.
I loved CNET, and we had the Harry Potter CNET, and we also had my favorite one, which was the Nickelodeon CNET.
I'd probably be okay with that.
Yeah, those were huge back in the day.
Yeah,
I
they
forgot
were. Yeah.
about that. Yeah, with the
Yeah,
DVD.
and every once in a while, like even like I even just liked taking the little trivia cards and playing like that even. Mostly with
What,
the
like just
trivia.
picking random Trivial Pursuit cards and like
Mhm.
doing the thing? Yeah. I know friends like that. I never did that though.
That's kind of like
So I-
flashcards, when it's just like, oh, this
I
is
think
like,
I haven't played it in years, but there was also a game that I played at a party one time called Jackass. I want to say that's what it was called. Or no, not Jackass. I'm sorry. That's
that's the
those are
show
movies.
/ movie.
Smartass. It was called Smartass, I believe. And I don't know what it was, but I was on a really big roll with that. And it's actually a pretty fun game. That's also like a trivia one. Whenever we would do the trivia on Streamers Become Human, I always tend to do pretty okay.
You do very well. Yeah, yeah. The yeah, it was. I've always enjoyed. I think I've enjoyed trivia for basically my whole life. I like speed testing things sometimes, like things that otherwise, like me and my buddy, like we took this course together in like our first year of uni, and like we wanted to after what we would do after is we'd do the assignments and then we'd play Call of Duty after. So what we did was we turned it into a race to see like who got the assignment done faster, kind of thing.
Right.
And like that gamification made me enjoy what otherwise would have been kind of like a monotonous thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like if I were practice, I'd be better, but I'm just not.
Well, tonight was the start. Then this is the start of your practice. Kilroy is about to be a pro Jackbox streamer.
I'm gonna be hitting up each and every bar every single night. Oh wait, COVID, never mind. When all this is over, I'm gonna be hitting up each and every bar,
yeah.
laying down the money, fucking trivia king. Who wants to come with me?
I feel like that one episode of The Office.
Which one?
So there's an episode of The Office where they do trivia, like some of the other characters, and they dominate it. Like they think that they're like these trivia champions. Like, oh my god, we're so good at this. And so they actually end up going to another bar for a trivia night, and they end up doing awful.
What season was that?
I can't remember what season. It might have been
Because I've seen most of The Office, but up until like
I
Michael
wanna
Scott left,
say-
but I don't remember
I
that.
want to say it was a later one. Let me make sure.
I
don't
know
remember.
there was an episode where they did it and Kevin won it for them, and like they didn't think he was
Yeah.
gonna win it, but I don't remember.
I've seen
what
2
it was.
episodes of The Office. I've seen all of Parks and Rec though. Me and Morgan watched all of Parks and Rec. It was
I
really
love
good.
Parks and Rec. It's one of my favorite shows. It was season.
Parks and Rec is
It
awesome.
was definitely one of the later seasons. that-
Okay, I stopped watching when Michael Scott left because I felt like
yeah,
it
that's
just
after
wasn't
Michael
the same.
leaves, so.
I felt like that's when most people stopped, to be honest.
But I love it up until that. It's like literally one of my favorite shows of all time. One of my favorite quotes involves Kevin, actually, where Michael Scott goes, Kevin couldn't decide whether between a stupid vote or a fat joke, boom, roasted. And then he moves on. He's roasting everybody.
I didn't watch it as a. Sorry, go ahead.
Nope. Go ahead.
I didn't watch it as a kid because a lot of my classmates were English and they told me don't watch it. The American one is bad.
Oh my god.
And I was like, okay, the American one is worse, I guess. All right,
It's
sure.
not.
And so I never watched
different.
it, but now that I've seen like his other shows, and now I've seen Parks and Rec, and I've seen some of like The Good Place, I would like to go back and watch it, even though it's a
should.
first time
It's
endeavor.
so good, and that is not true at all. It's different. But
Yeah, it's-
okay, so here's what I
Have you seen any of the British one or the UK?
I
one?
haven't. They
Okay,
told
so
me
here's
to
the-
go and
here's
first
the
and watch
episode,
it.
and it was super weird to watch.
Well, here's the difference. The Office British version is better in the sense that, man, did they nail the mundane, stupid, everyday, boring bullshit that most people go through life in. You know what I mean? Just a cubicle. All of the characters are, like, not really that attractive. Like, the actors, like, they're all very boring. Like they kind of like have voices, you know. Like it's very like they nailed that part where they're trying to capture the mundane everyday stuff. However, the American version did that really well too. But everybody's pretty, right? For the most part. I mean, you have Phyllis and all that, but whatever. But like everybody has like it's almost like a caricature version of each one of those roles,
Right.
rather than like a very direct, like blunt, mundane version of said role. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I actually do get that.
Like
I
Jim,
agree.
you know, Jim's like Jim in the British version is
Hey, Tony.
an asshole.
Hey,
He's
Tony.
super boring. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Jim in the American version, he's cute, right? Like he's got that kind of like weird like shyness about him. Like so it's one of the most like Americanized versions of a show I could ever imagine. You know what I mean? Like Americans took that version and
just
Americanized it by
yeah, pretty much.
making pretty people. However, the story plot as it goes on is incredible. I think it's one of the best shows ever written. The British Office only had one season, so
Oh, okay, yeah. So
great.
I see
I
when I
didn't
was
know
younger,
that,
I
actually.
think
I didn't know it only had one season.
Yeah, it does.
I
Yeah,
knew it
it's
ran
only
for a
one.
short time, but I didn't know it was one. So I think like I've like historically been really picky about comedy, and
I am as well.
so, like I love television. Like it's like one of my favorite things. But I've historically aired towards like more dramatic things. But it sounds. I mean, enough people have said that it's amazing that I should probably watch it, if for no other reason than to experience the sort of cultural sensation that it was.
It's
So-
really good. I think that it's better than the British version. However, that being said, like I think, like I said, the British version excels at really like the whole point of the British Office was to like bring to light the cringeworthiness, mundaneness of everyday life, and oh my god, it's better in that sense for sure.
Sure. Well, one season. It sounds like a pretty easy watch. It also sounds like it might be difficult to make an apples to apples comparison.
No, you can, because it's almost the first season of the American Office and British Office are almost like tick by tick by tick.
Oh,
Like,
really?
Yeah,
same
I
scenario,
think it was
same-
supposed to be
like,
like
Ernest
shot
was
for
referring to
shot.
then, yeah.
It's pretty cool actually to watch them back to back.
Still one of my favorite dumb parts from that show, from the American version, is definitely with Angela and just how much of a terrible person she is.
Yeah,
Oh, was this the woman from the scene you showed me the other night, Morgan?
Yeah. So
Okay, yeah.
so at one point, like they go to a Diwali celebration, and she always expects, like, she's the kind of character that she just expects nobody to be accommodating to her whatsoever, and she's very indignant about it. And she goes up to the food table and she says, "Do you have anything that's vegetarian?" And the guy just looks at her and goes, "It's all vegetarian." And she just goes, "Just give me some bread or something." And it's so awful. That and the oh my god, these s'mores are disgusting. They're not s'mores, they're samosas. Ugh. God, that show. One of the things that I hate seeing, though, which quite a few people tend to do, is definitely when people will, because I think it's totally fine to compare the two offices. They're both the office, you know? I absolutely hate when people actually do, or when they're like, which show is better, Parks and Recreation or The Office?
The Office.
Well, like, Parks and Recreation is a show that it's one of my favorite TV shows.
I like it as well.
That's one of the shows that I just go back to when I'm feeling down.
Yeah,
and
for
it
sure.
Makes me laugh. But the thing is that, like, I like The Office for different reasons than I
Yeah.
like Parks and Recreation.
Parks and Rec is one of the same. It's basically the same formula. However, it's definitely more lighthearted, I would
it's
say.
done in a different way. That's one of
It's
the things
lighthearted.
that I usually like to kind of hit hard on about that, because in the beginning of the show, like first 1 to 2 seasons, they actually were intending it at first, before season 1 came out, it was actually going to be a sequel to The Office, and that's one of the reasons why they had Rashida Jones.
Mhm.
And they just decided to go into a bit of a different direction. But season 1 and 2 actually ended up doing very, very poorly in TV ratings wise. Was not doing well, and that's why in season 3 they got Adam Scott and I forget his name for some reason. Rory, help me. Rob Lowe, sorry. That's why they actually got those two characters to come onto the show, and it actually revamped the show. It became like season 3 and onward. As
Rob Lawlaw?
Huh?
Rob Lawlaw?
Oh my god. But after season 3, a lot of people actually really, really liked it after that. And it's also why a lot of people tend to not be all that excited about when rewatching the show to watch season 1 to 2, which I think is fine because I love the show. But
I actually agree. I don't think that show got really good until 3, and it's mostly because there was only a couple of like a few characters, like a handful maybe, that were really, and then in season 3, like even the side characters were starting to get more roles, and it just made it a lot more funny. Like I thought it was much better after that.
Yeah, they decided to go with more of a lighthearted kind of way of doing it, which ended up being a lot better instead of just because like at times they get sarcastic, but there's like a fun simplicity in terms of the sarcasm with The Office that I find that they just didn't need in Parks and Rec. And yeah, they wanted it to be very similar to The Office because of The Office's success.
Right.
And after that they were like, this isn't working, so
it's the mockumentary style.
Yeah. And it still became a bit mockumentary, but not in the sense that they would like it actually was like them talking to the camera, like directly to the camera guys, because we actually still don't know what they were doing on Parks and Rec, like if it was a documentary or what.
Right.
Just nobody knows. And I find it very fascinating, just like how much of like how they changed not much but enough.
Yeah, totally. I love Parks and Rec, but like you said, for different reasons.
Yeah.
Arrested Development is the best show of all time, so whatever.
Now that's one that
none of these shows we're talking about even matter. I'm just kidding.
Wait, what show did you mention? Sorry, I didn't.
Arrested Development.
Oh, Arrested Development is wonderful. Yeah.
It's my favorite show probably of all time.
I didn't make it through the newer seasons.
I haven't either.
But the 3 seasons of the show is one of my favorite comedy programs that I've seen.
I think it's amazing. It's my favorite.
Joined the first 2 seasons of Community in that.
I haven't watched that, but literally everyone I know has said, "Hey, Kilroy, you would really like this show. You should watch it." And I'm like, okay, but I don't really watch.
I think you would. And I like I say, I do tend to be fairly critical of comedy.
I do too, actually. And it was funny you said that earlier. I was gonna say, I'm also very critical of comedy, but that's like all I watch.
Oh right. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't really watch drama stuff because I watch TV maybe like once a week, once a month sometimes. Like I don't really watch a lot of TV, and I find that comedy is a lot easier to just tune in and tune out. Whereas drama, like Breaking Bad, I still haven't seen Breaking Bad because that's like the kind of show where if you miss a moment, you have no idea what's going on because you weren't paying attention for 2 minutes.
Episodes are longer too in those sorts of shows, generally speaking.
So I just don't really make time for it. Whereas like comedy shows, I can like miss a couple episodes, tune in on the next one, and be like, haha, like it's structured, you know, like it's like Seinfeld. Like you can watch an episode of Seinfeld, and it's got a whole story inside of the episode that has nothing to do with the first or the next. You know,
to the point where I hardly know what the order of the Seinfeld episodes is.
Yeah,
I lose
exactly.
track of when Putty shows up, and like
exactly.
So I'm the opposite. So for a long time in my life, video games took second place to film and television. And it wasn't until we became a streamer that started to flip. And now I feel kind of probably how you feel, where I'm like, I don't have any time for TV. Like beyond
all I do is play games.
All the TV now I watch is the stuff that me and Morgan watch together.
Yeah, same with Alexandra. That's like we'll sit down and watch like stuff every now and then. That's about all I watch.
Is there anything you're working your way through right now?
Seinfeld, actually.
Seinfeld, okay, yeah.
We're on season 7.
Is this your like? Are you one of the many people who's like on their 4th rewatch of Seinfeld kind of thing? Like,
yes, but this is the first rewatch as like an adult paying attention. You know what I mean? Like I'm actually invested. Whereas I saw it all growing up through high school and stuff like that, but it was only like spotty. This is the first time I've ever like watched it through.
So
and it is amazing.
I gotta ask you a question about the show. So I had a friend, I've always kind of enjoyed Seinfeld, but I had a friend who didn't like it at all when he was in high school and then loved it when he got older and had a job before.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. It's very adult
relatability.
Yeah. It's definitely adult humor for sure. Like I feel like when I was a kid, I just thought Julia DeDreyfus was hot, so she was probably my first like celebrity crush ever.
Okay,
Elaine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So like that was enough to keep me engaged as a tiny young boy. Not going to talk about hormones or anything like that. Had nothing to do with it. But as an adult, like going back, yes, it's very much like a I feel like most of the jokes in Seinfeld go right over a kid's head,
Right. Yeah,
straight
yeah,
over
yeah.
their head. But you
See,
know,
I
like
definitely do agree because, like, I've noticed before, like, when I'm drawing or like if I'm playing on my Switch or something, and I just like want to have a show in the background, like that's probably why I've watched Parks and Recreation so many times, because it's just something easy that I can put on the background and
Totally.
I can look up at any time, just be like, that's funny, and then just look back
Yeah.
down, not have to worry. Like, be like
it's easier to follow along in your head too.
yeah. Because it would be like right now, like Rory and I are now. I've watched Bones, but this is Rory's first time watching Bones, so like that's what we're going through right now. And like it's basically like you look down for like 2 minutes to do something, and something happens. You're like, well, okay, wait, what happened? I gotta go back. Dang it!
Yeah,
all.
because there are all these contained mysteries where you miss a
Yeah.
clue. And we're also the same thing. We're working our way through Star Wars Rebels as well. Like we finished Clone Wars and Angel, and then we moved on to Bones and Rebels. And
Nice.
like Rebels has a lot of like call outs, right? And small little like sort of Easter egg kind of moments almost. They're not hugely subtle, but they are there.
And it's not just to the like actual Star Wars cinematic movies, but to Clone Wars as well. And so like at one point, like Rory and I will be like, "Oh wow, I remember. We actually can remember this from watching Clone Wars." And so you have to really pay attention. That's the unfortunate thing about like when you want to get into a new show, but like you want to multitask and do other things.
Yeah. That is one thing that I think is brilliant about Seinfeld is, like I said, it's a comedy show and you can watch it. I'm so used to my camera being vertical. I'm talking with my hands down here. It's a contained episode, right? Like you can watch from like any episode and probably get a laugh and get the characters and their quirkiness. But pretty much once an episode, they always call back to something like past, like, oh, remember that time you did this? Or they'll like make a reference to an episode from like 3 seasons ago to like kind of get the people who are like watch the whole thing like, you know.
Yeah.
But it's never overwhelming. It doesn't take up too much time. Like it's not like, I feel like some shows, I can't think of any examples, but I've watched some shows where they kind of take an in joke and run with it a little too long to where like people who are just getting into the series, where they're just getting into it like are lost.
Maybe How I Met Your Mother, because I know that one has a lot of jokes that are really long running.
How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, which is okay for like people who are veterans, but once again, that's just my preference. I like watching shows where I can just tune in whenever and laugh.
See, and I agree because like I can remember just the other day because like I rewatch this show all the time because it's also one of my favorite shows, and it's a show that nobody's ever heard of. It's called The Midwife, and it's just about midwifery in the 1950s, and I love it. It's a good show. And one of the days, like I was walking around cleaning or doing something, and I forgot to pause it on Netflix. And I came back to it, and I was like, I am not here yet. And I was like, I forgot to pause. And so I had to go all the way back to my episode, and I hate when I do that. And so like again, like with shows like, I mean, maybe not so much with The Good Place, I guess, since that does have like a big storyline to it. But like with The Office, with Seinfeld, with Parks and Recreation, like with any of those kinds of shows, it like you said, it's easy that you can just like be walking around the house, and maybe the episode ends and goes on to the next one. You can just walk in and and not worry about it.
I like that.
I love that show, Abby. Also, hello.
I find that used to be so, and I agree with you, Kilroy. That is like a staple of comedies, and I feel like, to be honest, I feel like drama shows are losing that because they used to be more like that. Like for instance, if you watch like Star Trek: The Next Generation, like most of those episodes were actually self-contained adventures, right? Yep. There were a lot more like episodic shows like that. Monster of the Week was a famous format. Even Buffy, to be honest, which has a pretty big,
it's funny you say that.
lore.
I haven't really thought of it, but yeah, I definitely, that was when I watched more drama, was back in the days when it was more self-contained.
So that's actually my least favorite trend in television right now. Like, so for instance, I enjoy the new Star Trek series, like that Discovery and Picard, but one of the things I wish they had kept was that feeling of you could just tune in any week and watch a random episode. And like they did have overarching stories for like a five episode arc.
Sure, but that was like a special event.
Yeah, it was a special event, and like now shows they start building the arc right away. Like episode 1, what's the big mystery? You know what I mean? And they've got to be always solving it, and it kind of
it's the age of binge watching, I guess, versus back in the day you only had like a week slot, you know, like a slot once a week.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, hey, Gianna, how are you?
Binge watch all of it.
Yeah, now they just release it, and it's basically watching a movie in parts.
I kind of do, like, I can understand the way that Disney Plus does it, and I know why people hate it, but I know why it's a good tactic, because they release their new episodes week by week, which means
I think it's cool, actually.
Yeah, I mean, that gives
I kind of miss the old days.
I kind of like that too, and at the same time, it's nice if you just want to, like, new season of Stranger Things drops, like, I watch it in a day, you know, and it's like, all right, it's done now.
And also, I assume Disney Plus, like, for people like me who don't even subscribe or have watched The Mandalorian yet, I can now buy it and just binge watch the whole thing and catch up. Mm-hmm. And then I'm hyped again, you know, to see the next one at the same time everybody else. Like, that makes sense to me.
See,
I actually prefer that.
And I can understand sometimes, like, if people do want to consume it, like, right when it comes out, because that's a business tactic at the same time, because that means that you still have to have Disney Plus for all those, how many weeks it's going to be out, versus I know that there were a lot of people, like, it was kind of like that with HBO.
I get that. Yeah, I see what people are saying. They can't do the thing where I'm doing. Like, I'm waiting for season 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian to finish so I can get a free trial and watch it all at once and then not have to pay anything.
Mm-hmm.
But by doing it week by week, you got to stay subscribed.
You got to stay subscribed.
That makes sense.
Exactly that. Versus on Netflix, like, I've known so many people that they were like, I literally only get Netflix for Orange is the New Black, and then I don't have it until the next June. Like,
yeah, it was a shame. It's a shame too, because I feel like when Netflix first started, it was used by like people who were into film to just find random movies to watch. Like that was like the people I knew who got Netflix at first. It was for that, because that was
I remember that
Netflix original series. It was before, you know, like House of Cards and before the Marvel shows and stuff. It was just like you got it just to see what Guy Ritchie movies might be on it or something.
Yeah, I remember.
Now
that.
they've like moved away from that, and it's like it's okay, but it's kind of a shame because like a lot of those movies, like, you know, disappeared or something.
A lot of them
like,
expired. Well, not expired, but a lot of them have like contracts or whatever, so they take them off.
That is what it is in Furnace. That's exactly what we're talking about. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point too. Is that the contracts and stuff run up?
Great Bake Off. Alexandra watches that a lot.
Me and Morgan are just finishing season 6 later tonight. Actually,
I've never watched it. She likes it.
Awesome. It is the best way to relax.
I think so too. Yeah, it's very friendly. It seems. I've watched a couple.
Well, it's really nice because I've definitely watched a few of the other like cooking shows, like from America, for example.
They're very aggressive.
Well, like, especially, you guys ever seen a show called Cutthroat Kitchen?
No, but the name.
Okay, it's worse than you can imagine, because you'd think that it was just that it's people being really just mean to each other. The way that Cutthroat Kitchen works is that you each have like $25,000, and then there's three or four people, I think that, yeah, 4 people that you start with, and you each have $25,000, and you are given a dish to make. You have 1 minute to go into the pantry to grab stuff to make your version of that dish, come back out, and then you can spend money on advantages for you or disadvantages for other people. Now, at first, it was pretty standard. It was
Sounds cool.
It was things like you are the only one that gets to taste your food. You know, like, it's a pretty standard thing. Or like, you need to make like, I don't know, like, you need to make like breaded fish. You can't use breadcrumbs, you know, like, this person can't use breadcrumbs or something like that. And so they have to improvise. It gets a lot weirder later on in the show, like, to the point where, like, one of them was like, oh, like, what was it, like, spend money to make this person like try to cook with oven mitts on the entire time. There was another one where they had to make.
It's not that weird. I thought you were gonna say make them cook with dildos for hands.
Like, there was one where they had to bake a birthday cake, but then also the way to bake the birthday cake that had to go along with their like their other dish that they still had to make as well. They had to open up presents to find all the ingredients to make the birthday cake.
That's kind of funny.
And the best part about it is that when the judge comes down, the judge knows nothing about the advantages or disadvantages.
By the way, if there's a cooking show that makes people cook with dildos for hands, sign me up.
But it's a really interesting show. But I think the way that it ends is that you can spend money on advantages or disadvantages, and each round somebody is eliminated, and if you're the last one, you just get to keep whatever money you have left.
I mean, the concept of the show as you're describing it sounds fun. Is it just a bad attitude kind of thing?
Most of them have really bad attitude.
They just really yell and shit.
Yeah,
you have to bear in mind how they pick contestants for a lot of these shows. Like, have you ever seen Ink Master Kilroy?
No.
Or do you know what it is? Do you know what the idea? Oh, it's a tattoo competition, right?
Okay.
People volunteer, like humans do this. They volunteer to like get tattooed by the competitors on the show. Like they don't just like tattoo like a fake, like a banana or something like that. Like they tattoo real people, and if they screw up, then this real person has a real screwed up tattoo.
Oof.
And like they asked one of the hosts, because Dave Navarro, hosts of Jane's Addiction and Red Hot Chili Peppers, for those who remember, either Jane's Addiction's every album or Red Hot Chili Peppers album, One Hot Minute. They asked him, they were like, do you pick the best tattoo artist? Is that how they decided? And he's like, no, are you kidding? He's like, they decided based on who's going to make the best TV. So if there's drama,
right, exactly,
like that,
yeah.
then that's, and I got to imagine that for the like the American cooking show, it's like probably the same thing.
Well, I was gonna say I'm not sure if it's I don't watch much TV, so I'm not. It seems like it's mostly an American thing that likes to do that whole aggressive like drama.
They really
like,
kind of do.
well, I'm not sure if it's just America that does that, but
of, Big Brother or whatever, to like create drama between people who were forced to live.
yeah,
in
I think
house.
so.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a really.
I've never had any interest in watching that. Like, I personally
I know
don't
nothing
get
about it. I just know the premise
It looked
of like
awful.
making sure
If that's
everyone's
your
fighting.
thing, like if you want to come home and relax from your shitty 9-to-5 cubicle job and then watch more shit, like I'm not gonna judge you at all.
Yeah,
But
I get it. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to watch other people have drama in their lives.
See,
and the way it's mostly like the way it's structured. Like it's always like the like turn to the like American drama TV, or like I guess reality TV you call it. It's it's so trying to tell you how to feel every fucking second that it drives me personally insane.
So I agree,
It's always
but
like gasp, emotion. Oh, and then they cut to the audience like, and then I should be like, and then a laugh track, and I'm like, oh, it just drives my mind wild.
I agree, but I think there's an ideal as well. Like there's like I love the Great British Baking Show, which is like no drama, right? It's
feel
just
like I would
pure
like
and
that,
wholesome.
yes.
And then you get into like other reality TV where it's like aggressive and I hate it, but then you get where it's so aggressive and ridiculous that it becomes entertaining and relaxing again. Like you hit that like a shot at love with Tila Tequila, or like Flavor of Love where Flava Flav has to find a girlfriend, knowing that there's going to be another season and he's going to pick a new girlfriend next season. That's when it all comes back around.
I guess that makes sense. I can see what you're saying.
Well, like it's
That's
so
the peak.
interesting. It's so interesting to see the differences between them too, because like at the same time, like and this is why I love the Great British Bake Off so much, because it's just nice and relaxing.
Yeah.
Everybody is nice to each other. Like it's like
Exactly.
such a concept. Like on shows like Cutthroat Kid. I mean, maybe.
Yep.
She phrase.
No, it's all right. This happens periodically. Just some slight. Morgan's been having some slight internet problems lately, so it'll
You know,
drop
Cutthroat
for
Kid,
like a
right?
half a minute,
There
and
it
then
is.
it'll come back.
We're back.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're back now.
Am I back now? Okay. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I have to call our provider about this because it's been happening. It's been often and only for a few seconds, but it's been making me really upset.
I feel that.
Like shows like what do they call it? Like Hell's Kitchen, is that what
Mhm.
one of them is called?
Yeah.
Where
There's
it's like an
Hell's
actual
Kitchen,
big season with like that they dwindle down with elimination stuff like that. And like you'll probably see somebody that's like maybe some trying to make like like a 3-decker cake or something like that. And that one of them, like one of the other contestants, like tips over, right? And they're just like, oh no, what am I gonna do? And the other people are just like, ha ha ha. They were probably the ones that are standing in my way. So now they're gonna get eliminated. But then you see characters on like the Great British Baking Show where they're like, oh my gosh, I'm all out of like chocolate chips. What am I gonna do? And they're like,
And somebody gives them chocolate chips. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, they're super nice. Yeah, they like
I
help
like
each other
that.
out, and like they're friendly, and you get the impression like they actually are sad to see each other go.
I would
that-
rather watch that, honestly.
one of the
Oh,
really-
it's so much better. Yeah.
One of the really
Yeah.
nice things too that they started doing was actually showing like what happened after the show had ended for like for the first few months after the show was done, and like a bunch of them were like, these two are best friends and they're going on holiday. And
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
it's all just because they met
Yeah.
through the show, and it's so sweet. Like I almost call them characters. They are actual just real people. Like I've seen contestants on the show where they're done with their thing and they'll be like, Gloria, do you need help? Like, let me come and help. I'm just gonna come over and I'm gonna help you a little bit. What do you need? And they'll just help them. And it's so nice, you know?
That's cute.
That's
I
how
would rather
it
watch
should
that.
be. I think like I watched. We all know Zippy. Zippy does Pinhead. I was
Who? I'm just kidding. I love it.
I do these like community MMA nights in
He's
my
the best.
Discord, right? Where people in the community come and watch MMA, whether they're experts at MMA, whether their first match they've ever watched. And like one of the things he was shocked about is he was like, I was shocked at the sportsmanship because like these two guys would be like, beating each other up, and then when the match would be over, they'd like shake hands and be friendly and like make a joke or something.
Yeah.
And I like that's how I believe that's a higher quality of life, I think, than if you just get mad at people who are competing with you. Like that's bad for your health, I think. Like mental and physical health if you're like that,
I won't call them out, but I often play. They're not watching this, don't worry. Call of Duty with a local bro friend of mine who I've known
Call
for
them
years.
out. They're not watching this. They don't deserve the anonymity. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
And we do well. Like we play Call of Duty gunfight a lot, which is pretty competitive. It's like 2v2, so even more so than regular Call of Duty. If your teammate sucks, it hurts. And it's similar in the sense that it's the same thing. Like whenever, like I get like salty sometimes, of course. Like whatever, it's Call of Duty, It's part of the thing. But I always notice like if I just am like, whatever, like next one, we got this. I play so much better when I just don't get frustrated and like stay focused and like, well, there's factors that led up to losing that round, but it's okay. Like let's just move forward. Whereas he can't really do that as well. Like he gets very upset and like it'll come to a point to where like hour one we're destroying people. Yeah, exactly. Hour 2 we're like still destroying people. Hour 3 he's starting to wane off and get a little salty, and like by hour 4 I'm just like, okay, well I can't play with you anymore because now you're just angry and constantly dying because you're like getting so upset. Whereas like if you just stay even keeled and like accept the losses with the wins, like overall you tend to do better, you know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing I don't like about the like so my buddy Tyler has this philosophy where like you have to get mad at something to be good at it kind of thing. Like
agree with that.
It's like, oh, you should get mad because that's how you get better success, but I don't agree with that.
I think
Personally,
that your
a lot
friend
of it-
is confusing anger with passion. There's a difference, if that makes sense. Like you can still be passionate about something.
He's not talking about.
Really?
There's a running joke on the podcast that I'm friends with Ninja, and Ninja once tweeted out that like you have to get mad at stuff to
He
I do
He probably
remember
put it in
that,
his
yeah.
book too that he wrote. Like I don't.
when Trev smiled, I lost it. When Trev, I was totally giving.
I've never
but it's
read the
true.
book, but I'd happily pirate it to make
The
fun
reason
of
I
it.
said that is as well because I didn't want to necessarily call out Ninja for his opinion, but basically he was raging at games, and people said, "Why are you getting so mad at games?" He's like, "That's how you do better. Like if you don't get mad at things, you're never
Oh,
gonna
you
get
were
better."
actually talking about Ninja? That's funny. I had no idea.
No, yeah. legitimately, yeah, something
Well,
he said.
No, I
think
totally
he
disagree with
was- He was also the person that said that. I forget what it was exactly, but it was something about like being competitive. It was like the only point of being like competitive is like because you want to get like you want to prove that you're better than everybody else, and that's the only reason you should play games or something. And I was like, I don't entirely agree with that.
I mean, maybe if you have a small penis, but like,
Yeah, like you can play for fun. Like you don't need to.
I don't really have anything to prove, so.
Yeah, like I think, and even if it's your job, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think, and he cited that, like, you know, you think LeBron James doesn't get mad after a loss, and I'm like, I don't think he screams through the microphone in the post-game interview, if that's what
not
you're
what he
asking.
said. He literally compared himself to LeBron James. And
Well,
I'm like,
I mean, that too, yeah. The, like, honestly, a lot of those, if you look at professional athletes, people who are at the top of their game, like, people who are, like, oftentimes better than at their thing than anyone else before them, like they may be upset with themselves internally, but they maintain a lot of decorum. A lot of them, like,
definitely,
you know, they're very sweet. They, you know,
it's
they go to the interview and
it's usually the hot shots, the hotheads who rise to stardom and then burn out, much like your friend.
Yeah, and exactly, Tony. If you watch someone at a fighting game event break their arcade stick, that guy's not a top player.
No.
You know what I mean? Like the top players are like just
And
very
who
relaxed.
the fuck cares about Ninja now? You know what I mean?
It's fair play.
And
Nobody.
to be honest, like I would rather be up against somebody that is at the top of their game and doing well at it. You know.
You know who's still at the top of their game and doing well? Shroud.
I knew you were gonna say Shroud. Yeah.
Guy's like the most level-headed dude of all time, and he's still killing it. Like nobody gives a shit about Ninja anymore, and Shroud has just been like boo 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 the whole way.
Well, and
Yeah,
it's
well,
kind of like it's kind of like on like a cooking show, for example. Like what I said before, like somebody could be really happy, like, oh man, they totally messed up, like just by chance, some like a bunch of their food that they just had prepared that they needed for the challenge all fell on the floor, and now they're not gonna have that part. Like, you know, like I wouldn't want to be like, haha, you know, now they're gonna do worse. I would
Right.
honestly be like, okay, so let me get this straight. So I'm the winner here. If their food hadn't just fallen on the floor, they would have done
Sorry,
better.
that was really loud.
They're okay. But it's like, okay, so they would have done better than me. They actually would have won if they had been able to have like whatever they had prepared be ready, right? And it's like that doesn't make me feel good, you know? Like I would rather I would have rather beaten them because I did do better than them at the best that they're doing.
I was going to say a similar thing. Like, don't get me wrong. I love competition, and it's something that gets the better of me sometimes. I grew up playing sports, and I fucking love competing. It's a rush. Like, anybody who's played sports or, like, competitive games, it's a rush. Like, it's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that you have to be toxic. And at the same time, and Ninja, since you mentioned him, one of the most toxic people of all time before he got popular. And then he got popular and was like, hey, I can make more money if I do this family-friendly thing. And then he did that, and everyone's like, is this the same Ninja that like was saying all these fucking slurs and stuff before he played? And then now he's like right back down in the toxicity. But whatever. We're punching up. It's okay.
You take XQZ, for example, who's been the same the entire way through. But
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, I guess being genuine, regardless of how you are, is worth some points.
It's some points. Yeah, that's
and
fair.
it's kind of like because I can remember Rory and I were talking about this when we were like it was when we were watching some of the Tekken tournaments. And it reminds me of this also because I know that there's a lot of people right now that have been getting angry. I think it was at Call of Duty maybe because they were doing I can't remember
Skill-based matchmatching.
The fact that they released a new game with only 6 maps?
that's what people should be mad about, but it's not what they're mad
That's
about.
why I haven't bought the game yet. I've wanted to play with you guys really bad, but
for skill-based matchmaking because a lot of them were really angry that they couldn't just get paired up with like a noob and be able to decimate them because they're obviously better at the game when they have 500 hours and this poor person has 2 hours on the game.
Yeah.
I can remember one time I was playing Splatoon. I love Splatoon. It's a super fun, silly game. And And at the time, it was on, I believe it was on the first one. So I was playing on the Wii U one, and I was like a level 45 at the time, and the level cap was level 50. After they raised it because everybody got to level 20 too fast, and the creator of the game literally said, "Are you guys okay?" But I think I was like a level 45, and somehow, I don't know how it happened, I got put into a lobby with a bunch of like level 5s to 10s. And I'm not joking when I said I carried my team every time. Basically,
Yeah.
like when you're in a lobby in Splatoon, it's a 4v4 for like a regular turf war match in that game. They'll just randomly put you on teams, so like they'll just kind of garble you up. So you could be on a team with 3 other people, and then the next match you could be on literally the opposite team. And so the first one I was playing, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna play whatever. And I can't, because obviously I carried the team because all of them were literally people who were just starting playing the game. They had never played it before. And so I was hoping that it was going to get me back into my bracket on the next one, and then it didn't. So I ended up having to play with them one more time. And I could have just kept going and just gotten a whole bunch of wins, but I was like, I'm gonna quit out and hopefully get put back into the bracket I'm supposed to be in, because it wasn't fun for me. You know?
Yeah.
I was winning, but what was the point?
exactly.
Well, the
And
opposite
If
thing
you're barely
happened-
doing anything, it's like what like there's
Yeah, it's not necessarily fun because you like you're in it for the sport. You like the competitiveness. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, you can still love the competition without being an asshole. Like, it's
Yeah.
two separate things. Like, I totally disagree with your friend Rory about that. Like, you can have
I
fun.
agree.
But the opposite happened last night. I was playing gunfight with my buddy who I was talking about earlier. He's like, he literally was like, because the way it does it, I think Call of Duty like calculates your kill death ratio, and if you have a higher like average kills to deaths, it will throw you in with people of your same caliber. And he's like, God, I really like playing with you, but every time I play with you, I suck at this game, and I think it's because of this, and it's because I'm much better than him at the game. So it's like throwing us in lobbies. It's trying to even us out, right? Where because we were playing later at night, it was throwing us in lobbies with people at my level, and he was just getting demolished because he can't keep up. Because we do the crossplay.
They should
Exactly.
have ranked and unranked play.
Well,
like,
that's exactly what I was going to say. For whatever reason, they have that skill matching in. So it's a catch-22. Like, so have ranked, right, for the competitive people where you all get matched to your same level. That's fun. But the issue is like you were saying, Morgan, those people, the high tier people, complain that they can't just relax. You know, like every time now when they load into the game, every time they load in, it's super sweaty. They've always got to be at the top of the game or the rank goes down. I can totally understand that argument. I like playing competitive games. I get that. But I also see the other end where it's like it sucks when you're new to a game and you're trying to learn, and then you get thrown into lobbies with these sweat lords that and you can't really gain momentum.
So,
And then you can separate it, like you can have casual where it's like random, and then you have ranked where it's skill based. That makes the most sense to me. But even that's not perfect, because then like, what if the sweat lords want to go into casual and like have a good time? Then these people are just getting stomped. You know what I mean?
well, inevitably that's going to happen. I think I'm glad you brought that up, by the way, about being a new player, because that is what anybody who said they liked skill-based matchmaking, the pros were like, well, you're probably just a new player and you don't want to put time in to get good. And it's like, no, that's not why that's not why the pros are against this. The pros are against this because they can't go 30-0 and get a like UAV helicopter or whatever the hell you get in Call of Duty. And like, stunt on new players on stream. That's why I think they pretend that it's like they're out looking out for the new players because they want them to get better. I'm not buying it at all.
I'm sure that there's some people who definitely are that degree that they just want to stream and shit on people because that's all they have to offer the world.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
yep. Absolutely.
I'm sure that's the thing.
I don't know if you've ever watched Owl, but I know Morgan and Rory have, but in like one team fight for Owl, that will last you, I don't know, depending on how good everyone is, and at the highest tier play it, like, I don't know, like anywhere from 2 to like 10 minutes, but like that's the constant.
Are you talking about Overwatch League?
Yeah, Overwatch League.
Yeah.
And like that's the difference between being in owl and being like the sweatiest people ever at it, and then being in like like base like gold, silver, and whatever, where it's like, all right, you either sweep or you get sweeped, and then you move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, and that is I agree with Trev on that. And I think like for me as like I'll give you a for instance, the fighting game players, the whole fighting game community was laughing at the Call of Duty community when they were complaining that they couldn't just beat up noobs all day, because in fighting games we only play ranked and we only play against people of our skill level. Like we never, I don't get on when I stream Tekken, I don't get on and play like new beginner players. Because like what challenge? What would I learn?
Well, I think you made a good point. It's this whole new world of streaming, and that now that's entered the mainstream, where people like that's their content. They just shit on noobs, right? Whereas like they're not really seeking to get better because they're not playing tournaments. If you are truly passionate and, like we said earlier, non-toxic competitive, you want to seek out people who are on your same playing field so that you can learn and get better.
Mm-hmm.
But those people don't do that because all they want to do is shit on noobs and make probably homophobic jokes as they go along.
Almost unquestionable. Do you think part of that is? Do you think part of that is the game is also designed to encourage like extraordinary levels of performance? Because
I think
Call of Duty has like kill streaks and stuff like that.
I think a game like Call of Duty is run by a giant soulless corporation that just wants to see the most people playing, no matter what.
Sure. Yeah.
Which is probably the system they have right now.
Yeah, like
that probably keeps the most people engaged overall, so that's what they go with. It's all I care.
Encouraging players to get like 15 kills without dying or something. Like Overwatch doesn't have that. You know what I mean? Like you don't get a kill streak. You don't get to call it a bastion when like you just you play the game.
You do get kill streaks, but like they don't grant you anything. It'll be like 25 player kill streak, but like it doesn't give you anything.
You can get like a card for it, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, look at this badass.
And like. It's focused on winning the game, and just doing well in the game. And it doesn't reward being just way better. A win is a win in Overwatch, right? You don't look at your KD and be like, oh, well, I crushed these other guys. My KD is a 4 now, or I don't know what Call of Duty KD would look like. But
I think the only frustrating thing really about Overwatch for me as a longtime player is the inconsistency with Blizzard and their balancing and stuff like that. And character.
That's been a running issue forever. Like.
No, but that one guy when we were playing said it was balanced. So
yeah, we played with this one guy like a year ago, and then
Junkertown, yeah.
We were just like, this game is so like unbalanced. We were talking about specific characters, and they were just like, no, Blizzard balanced it, it's fine. And we're like, oh, okay. Apparently to this person, it's completely. Well,
the constant like nerfing and unnerfing and buffing and debuffing, it's just like, as a person who only plays Overwatch like once every couple months, I'm just like, I can't even keep up at this point. But I do love Overwatch for the aspects that you're nailing. I think that they really did nail that, where it's just like, hey, it's purely a team-based competitive game, and that's it. Like, if you don't work together as a team, you lose, and I love that about Overwatch. Whereas Call of Duty, if I'm the best guy on the team, there's a good percentage chance that I can carry, Like, I can lead the team and win the game for us. You cannot do that in Overwatch. In Overwatch, you are as weak as your weakest player. Like, that's just... You're as good as your weakest player, I guess. That's the best term.
Yeah. I actually prefer to... Like, in Overwatch, I actually prefer to stack with a full 6. Not because of, like...
No, totally. That's the only time I play. That's why I don't play, because I don't have any friends.
I don't mind. Yeah, absolutely. I don't mind doing badly in a game because, like I say, it's competition, but I don't mind, losing. I would like to win, but I don't mind losing. But that being said, I do mind queuing with randoms who don't know how to play the game and who are like angry at me.
To tell you how to play.
Suck today, you know what I mean? It's stuff
That's
like
exactly why I don't play a lot of Overwatch, because I rarely have a 6 stack, and that game requires you to be, like I said, it's a team-based game. If you're not a team, you lose, essentially.
See, and it's kind of like we'll have at times like a tank will be saying like, you guys are not doing any heals for me at all. You guys really suck. Like, you're bad healers. When what they're doing is they're maybe rushing in and trying to put their shield up with like basically like 1v6 when
they engage in a 1v6 and then they're surprised.
Yeah, all the rest of their team are like, not with them yet.
You can understand why they think that too, because it's almost like a child's thought process, right? Like they think like, well, I'm dead
God, you're
because I
amazing.
lost all my health.
That was the ultimate roast.
If I lost all my health, that must mean I wasn't being healed enough to have all my health. Like it is genuinely, it's like someone who's only able to think like.
You did my favorite kind of insult where you set it up to where you were like in their camp and then you just like 180'd it. I love it. It's like, well, you can see where they're coming from if you have a thought process of a child.
It's like it's someone who only deals in absolutes. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
well, this or this. It's like, no, there's like 18 other factors that it could have played into.
Well, that's Overwatch.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
There's always like 18 factors going on in any given moment. That's why it is like I love Overwatch so much because it's probably the best like FPS team-based shooter I've ever played. It's Team Fortress 2 repackaged and expanded upon. Like shout out to Valve, they did it first. But Overwatch is that's what I love about it, but that's also why I don't play it that much, just because I never really find, like, if I don't have that team with me, it's extremely frustrating, and there's no point in playing. And I feel like I play a factor in that, too. I'm a DPS main, and that's just about it. And I always feel playing, like, we played Overwatch together, and I always feel bad playing with you guys, because you're multi-talented, and, like, I always have to lock into DPS, because I'm like, guys, I can't do anything but get frags. Like that's what I'm good at.
Oh, I only
it.
play Mercy. That's the only thing I do.
Person, I love Mercies. Heal me.
So, if you can believe it, we're actually running out of time. It went by like instantaneously. Once you guys can watch the trivia episode we did with Kilroy on YouTube, on our YouTube channel when we upload that. It was a blast. We had a great time. We did Jackbox trivia. So, well, first of all, I want to like exit on a topic, and also, so Kilroy, the Game Awards are tomorrow. Are you streaming them?
I'm going to, yeah. It's the first time I've ever done like an event streaming, and actually, real quick, fellow streamers, I actually opened up a topic about this on the Twitch subreddit, and then got, unsurprisingly, I guess, met with a lot of hostility for asking a question on Reddit. Surprise, surprise.
Wait, you're saying people attacked you over the internet?
Well, I haven't.
Shocker.
I haven't done a. Like event like this where so it's gonna be live, right? And I haven't streamed in like 3 months, and since I left, there's been this whole debacle with DMCA.
Yeah, you missed a lot when you were gone.
Right, and things have changed, and my question was, if we're going to stream a live event, like this is the first live event that they encourage co-streaming and all that since all this debacle that I'm aware of.
Yes.
If we're going to do that, like how are we tackling, because they're going to have live performances, there's obviously going to be music and things that it might trigger the auto system on Twitch, like how are we...
I imagine...
How are we getting around that?
They'd go ahead and clear that if you had it under the specific category.
I want to say you would have to be under like the special events.
You would think so, but
in an ideal world, that's how it works. But this
you
is
would
Twitch.
think so, but I don't trust Twitch exactly. And I also I read the whatever it is, the license agreement for co-streaming with the Game Awards, and they straight up said like, hey. Like, I'm paraphrasing, but they said, "Hey, if you get any strikes, not our fault. That's all on you."
So
like we don't
want to be super safe. Maybe just like this might
have the mute button at the ready. I guess that's what I'm gonna.
That
like,
or like
any
stream it
music,
muted.
I'm just gonna
have,
my stream deck.
You can say, "Hey, we're just gonna talk now."
But I was wondering if you three had any. If you were, are you also gonna stream it? Or?
No,
I know Tiff is, and I know.
Yeah. We were just gonna hang out in any other streams and watch.
Yeah, me and Morgan are gonna hang out and watch.
I was just wondering if you had any, if you were thinking about that aspect or gonna avoid any.
Wasn't thinking about that aspect, but I have a lot of thoughts on Twitch's automated copyright anything or any automated system.
Well, and I mean, this is from a website where like somebody got DMCA'd for playing their own music, like a guitarist.
Yeah, I know.
Got DMCA'd for literally playing his own music.
So any automated system. So basically, I don't know what they're using because I'm not a programmer at Twitch, but like, let's say I was using. Oh, thank you. Let's say I was using basically any sort of like trained algorithm that was trained on copyrighted data to try to recognize other copyright violations, right? It's like this could be like any like regressive model, like a neural network. And let's say I have a 95% success rate on that, which would be good by any standard, right? In like a science paper, if I publish this thing, it has 95% success rate. It's a great publication. I did a very good job. 95% is dog shit as far as actually being able to implement it in a software. Like, if like, think about that. Think of how many wrong errors that would cause a day.
I feel like
right?
ideally
Every 5 out of
you'd
100.
want like 98, 99.
You'd want something really
in a
good.
perfect
Better
world,
than
100, but like obviously they're
and
everything.
way better than I trust them to have. Because think about it. It doesn't have to just recognize music. It has to recognize music that's in a mix, which means there's a voice mixing it. It might be muffled. You know what I mean? You might be standing outside a car in some game that's playing music. I don't trust that to do very well. And I don't believe Twitch has the staff to file through all of those wrong
and
strikes.
like the isolation of it too, because it's like you could be playing music and there would be music in game, and you could be talking, and other people could be talking in your party, and it's like.
Well, I've never actually had a VOD muted ever, because many years ago, I've been streaming for longer than I'd like to admit, I discovered that now I don't know how it is nowadays, I think this still holds true, the only thing that picks up the mute and like the little bots that scan is lyrics. They listen for the words in a sequence. If you just play instrumental music and like instrumental versions of said music, you never get muted, you never get striked.
Herman Lee was just guitar.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I've done up until before when I was streaming back then. It's been a while. Yeah. Well, now I switch over to Pretzel Rocks. It's a local Seattle startup thing, and it's awesome. And they actually have really good music on there. So I've also switched over to the DMCA free music, because all I really listen to is, whenever I stream, I don't really do the whole like top 40 hits while I'm streaming. Mostly because for me, like, not talking shit about anybody's just preference. When I'm watching a stream and like there's like, Post Malone playing in the background while you're trying to talk to me, and like he's talking over you and you're talking over him, and there's game audio, I'm just like, I don't understand. Like, I can't listen. So I personally only ever play instrumental stuff, which Pretzel Rocks seems to encourage a lot. So maybe check that out. But it seems to be working pretty well. I mean, today was my first stream back in 3 months, and as far as I know, I
was there. I mean, I was in Kilroy's stream today, and I noticed that the music was good and worked well. Like,
yeah, I just
trying to do,
I like background music when I'm streaming. I don't want it to, like I said, not talking shit to people who play like the top 40 whatever, like playlists while they're playing, whatever makes you comfortable. But I would probably start to think about easing back from that a little bit and thinking out other alternatives.
So I find the opposite problem. As I don't have a problem as a viewer when there's music playing. I would have a problem. For me, I would have trouble focusing on, while I was streaming, the chat and the music.
I agree. Yeah,
I would have trouble with it.
Totally. That's also a reason why I do it.
I think
like that would really throw me off.
I like the background music.
So I used to be one of those people who used to have like 7, 8 tabs open at once with like 8 different streams going on. So like and active in all those chats at once. So like the whole audio imbalance and like blend of like different forms of sound coming into me, I feel like that's really trained me to like play music and talk to people and play games at the same time. But I can see where you guys are coming from, where it's like some kind of like sensory overload, and just like I need to focus on this or this, and if I have this and this on, it's harder.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on the game too.
I'm the kind of person though too, like when I usually stream, like I'll actually have like I'm just listening to the game music, So like I feel like it can be a bit more sensory overload at times for me, and maybe that's why I just usually never did it. But at the same time, I like weird ass music. So there's that too. So
yeah, I just find that like any music that has lyrics and also listening to that over top of a streamer talking is just really It does. It's not necessarily that my mind can't focus. It just sounds. It doesn't sound good to me.
See, for me, because I never got how people could listen to their regular music and like write essays. Like when I was in high school and middle school, I could
did that
not
all the
do
time.
that. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if it happens to anybody else, but like I would just be sitting there like typing along, doing my thing, and all of a sudden I'd start typing a lyric on accident.
Right.
Yep, I have the same problem.
That's also one of the reasons. I mean, I'm a big weeb. Everybody knows that. You can see.
Whoa! Had no idea.
But
I haven't been paying attention this whole stream.
But for me, like that's also one of the reasons why I really got into listening to Japanese music, because even though even like not just Japanese music, but just anything that wasn't my native language.
Exactly. Yeah, I've
I
actually
could just-
discovered that as well. Yeah,
That's
I
a
could
good
just
point.
kind of zone out too.
it's easier to listen to K-pop because I have no idea what they're saying. It's
What
all
they're
just,
saying, yeah.
it's all just rhythm.
But that's also one of the reasons why I still really like instrumental music, like what Kilroy said.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
And
oh, yeah.
I agree. I'm not much of a writer, but when I'm editing my photography projects, I do the same thing. I just listen to instrumental because it's like background music. It mostly sets the tone and the flow of like my zone, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Whereas I find one of my favorite things about music, I've found in the past that I personally get attached to lyrics more than I do a song. Like if the song is like, we all have those metal fans who are like, oh yeah, the more technical it is, brother, like all these layers and stuff, and I'm like, I can't listen to it because I don't know what the guy's screaming at me, you know? Like that's all my mind attaches to. So I find that with most music, I personally get more attached to lyrics than I do the actual music. So it's kind of like it takes away my focus, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So when I just have a background like tone setting the mood, it helps me stay focused on like the game or the photography project or whatever.
So
If that makes sense.
I'm more so like part of it's lyrics too, just because of I think the way lyrics are mixed. But like for me, it's more so as a guitar player, I can't listen to music with guitar if I'm trying to do anything else. I'm listening to what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking about the pickups, and I'm thinking
Yeah,
about
that
the
totally
effect
makes
barrels and
sense.
stuff like that. And it really is like it just like it will throw me off too much, way too much.
Yeah. Totally makes sense.
And then all I want to do is play guitar then. And then whatever else I was doing, so it's getting very late here, so we're gonna have to wind it up. But Kilroy, you can find a link to his channel if you do the current guest command. Just had his first stream back today after a hiatus, and you can watch him stream the Game Awards tomorrow, or potentially stream the Game Awards depending on whether.
I'm going to. I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I've never done an event like that, so I'm excited. I want to like try it, see what happens.
They're
Yeah,
fun
yeah,
events.
yeah.
I've watched the past 3 ones with people, and it's fun.
Yeah.
It seems like it'd be fun because I actually the reason I want to do it is because I've watched them in the past, but I think the productions overall are really cheesy and boring. But I feel like throwing the element to where we all like join in on that cheese will be fun.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's the whole
once you
point,
watch
is
E3
hang out with
with
the
people, you
community.
can't watch it alone anymore. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
I think that's exactly what's going to happen with me. I don't think I'll be able to not stream it again.
Yeah,
if I'm going to watch it.
I mean, we'll see like what this year's cheese is gonna be. I know last year's was the Google Stadia, and it was a
Yeah.
commercial for the Google Stadia like every.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's going to be interesting because they're not going to have a live audience and all that. So
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
it might be
Yeah.
a little more curated. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. The
Oh, the guy who
So-
was also playing. Remember, wasn't there a guy that was using an actual television as a monitor? Remember that?
That sounds vaguely familiar.
I just remember this dude with this giant television in front of him, sitting as close to it as he would a monitor.
Oh, I remember that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now I remember it. Yeah.
Look how
Yeah. That really
crazy
scared
people
me.
who are out there. Have you ever seen like setups on Reddit? Like people will literally have a desk and where my 27-inch monitor, which I feel like is probably as big as you should ever have a monitor. I feel like 24, admittedly, is probably more the sweet spot.
I use 224s myself.
They have a
Same,
fucking
yeah.
giant ass like 40-inch TV right in front of them. I'm like, how do you like you're like the way the human eyeballs work is you're only really focused on about like this, and the rest of it's all just like extra information. Like you are like looking at just a tight spot on the
Not to mention,
I don't know if they care.
it's terrible
you know?
for your eyes.
It's also terrible for like
your eyes.
a lot of TVs are really bad. So it drives. I'm sorry, I gotta say this before we go because
No,
it's driving
it's
me up the wall reading. I like on Twitter how many times I've seen people tell me that like consoles like bragging about next gen consoles running games at 120 frames. I'm like, a lot of console players are playing on TVs. Not a lot of TV. What TV are you using that has 144 refresh rate? Like, please, come on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're using a monitor, yeah. But like, let me tell you, if you're playing a game and you're close to the screen, please use a monitor. Don't use a TV. A TV is like a newspaper. Like, it just tells you things that happened a while ago. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually a really funny analogy. I like that. I'm admittedly kind of a PC snob, and I, tongue in cheek, like use that to my advantage. And just today, I saw a Reddit post on the PlayStation sub that was like, "Man, I don't think I can ever go back to 30 frames a second." I'm like, "Welcome to the 21st century, dude!" Like, what the fuck? Where have you been? Like I'm happy for you, but holy shit.
I understand like I play. I'm mostly a PC gamer, of course, but I played console games and enjoyed console games, but I think there's like a really weird like console thing that I've observed among some people where it's like they've got to brag about every little technological advancement that the console makes. It's like, why? That's not what consoles are for. They're not for the latest, greatest technological advancements.
They're to come home from work from your 9-to-5 cubicle job and sit down and have a good enough time.
It's supposed to make it like easy. It's supposed to be a streamlined experience, you know.
You want to come home from work, you had a long day, you just sit down and play games.
It like puzzles me to see people be like, well, we can run a game at 120 frames a second. I'm like, yeah, that's
welcome to 2006.
Yeah. If you have a monitor that supports it, if you have a 60 hertz monitor, you are not running any. Well, you may run it at 120 frames a second, but you won't.
And if you're playing it on a TV, like most console people are, you're probably not running it at those frame rates because TVs often don't really go natively over 60 hertz because there's no reason for them to, because television does not do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, like, if you want to play a console like that, then get a monitor. Get a monitor for your console.
Yeah.
I recommend that actually. If you don't have like a living room setup where you have like a couch and a TV, if you're just on your desk playing a console, get a nice computer monitor.
I used to do that actually with my PS3. I used a monitor instead of a TV.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks a lot better.
Yeah, it looks better, and it's better for your immersion as well. Honestly.
Well, the input latency, like, no shit. Like, my friend has this awesome, and I'm a big fan of Sony TVs, actually. I think that Sony Bravia line is probably the best television set ever made, and they still are, as far as I know. Went over to my friend's house the other night. Like, we're coworkers, so it's okay, COVID, okay? We're already in the bubble. It's fine. He's the one person I still hang out with. He has a big-ass, Sony TV, and we were playing Fall Guys on his PlayStation, and I was pressing the button, and I was trying not to be an asshole, but I was, pressing the button, and then, my character does the thing. And then my character jumps, and I'm like, oh my god, this delay is insane.
Were you using the Stadia?
No, we were using a PlayStation, but it's just that televisions have so much input lag. And he has a really nice TV, but it's just there's so much input lag from the controller to the PlayStation to the TV that it's just you press a button and it's boop. And it's probably not that noticeable if you're a console player, but as a PC player on a monitor, like we were saying, with instant input time, I'm used to pressing the button and my guy doing the thing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So even that half-second delay, it was throwing me off.
I mean, I'm sure me and Trev would be the worst DMC players in the world if there was a huge input lag. You know what I mean? Where we have to wait for it to be done. It's like a game where this hair split seconds, right?
Yeah, totally. But you can also make the argument that you just get used to it. My friends who play on console on TVs, they're used to that, so they almost press early. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Oh yeah, I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying that if you don't have a living room setup, I think it's better for you as a consumer to get a monitor.
I think I know
like,
what
with
you
your
mean too
console.
about the hitting it early thing, because like I can remember doing
Mhm.
that like on N64, like playing Mario Party. Like,
Oh, yeah.
that little jump rope game. Be like, all right, I gotta do it like a second before.
Exactly,
it's
yeah.
over."
Yeah.
Most TVs have that input lag. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The so we're gonna raid somebody.
Yeah.
Trev, please don't raid anybody playing Cyberpunk.
yay!
The,
I don't know what they're playing, but this was happening, so.
They're not. I already
All
checked.
right.
okay,
But-
what are they playing? Tell us about this person.
This person is one of my IRL friends. She is a sweetheart. She's only been streaming for about a year, I think, and she's trying to build a community. And honestly, like, they've been one of my IRL friends for
Yeah.
years, probably 7 years now. One of the genuinely sweetest people I've ever met in my entire fucking life. So please go say hi to this person. If you like a community that is really chill, down to earth, and is a sweetheart, like most of the people on True Variety, I feel, then you will love this person. Like, she is genuinely worth your time.
Excellent. All right, so that's who we're gonna send you all to. We'll be back. This is our last show for the year, so we'll be back in the new year to hope that 2021 is better. And so we'll be back sometime in January, and we can talk about how everybody's like holidays went.
Hell
And
yeah.
thank you for coming back. I know you've wanted to for a while, so
Dude, anytime. I had a blast. And spoiler alert, me and my holiday, just going to be me and this guy probably. COVID.
Aw, the good D-pad. All
Alright.
right, take it easy,
Bye.
everyone.
See you
Bye,
guys.
Bye.
All right, excellent.